Hi everyone and welcome to our dairy breeding season video. Myself, Majella McCafferty from Aurivo and John McCabe is here from the Teagasc Joint Programme, and we're going to go through a few different steps to help you make the best decisions prior to your breeding season. So I'm going to hand you over to John, who is going to explain why it is so important to make the correct decisions prior to your breeding season to make you as profitable and sustainable as possible.
So thanks, Majella. It's obviously very important to make good breeding decisions. We're all aware of that. But it's just, if we were to look back on last year's CoOp Support report in terms of percentages delivered to Aurivo, just wanted to look at the difference between the Aurivo average milk price and the top 10% in terms of milk price. So we can see there on your screen, average solids was 357 protein and 429 last year, and top 10% was a good bit higher than that. The difference that this ended up being was 5.5 cents a litre. So that's, if you multiply a 5,500 litre cow by 5.5 cents a litre, the difference really in good average protein and fat versus very good protein and fat is €300 a cow. Same litres, just €300 per cow in terms of milk price. So that's obviously huge. And if you have a 70 cow herd, maybe €21,000 more is what you would have made on the same litres last year. It's basically the equivalent of an extra 3 weeks milking. And if I was to look at this in a more moderate milk price, it's probably around €200 per cow in terms of the milk price. So even if we could achieve half of this, if we could get people on the Aurivo average up to somewhere between Aurivo, the average and top 10%, it's still €100 per cow, and it's a lot of money. So I think it's extremely important to make the right decisions now over the next 4 or 5 weeks coming up to the breeding season.
So there's a lot of money that can be made there just by making decisions, John, or making the correct decisions to improve on your herd.
Yeah, huge. And if I've just modeled it out in terms of looking at the long-term effect of using different bull teams with different PTAs for milk protein.
Very good. So we're just going to look here at PTAs. Could you just maybe explain, if I'm a farmer and I'm having a look here on how to make more money per cow and how to be more profitable, what does this mean by PTAs or long-term sires?
Yeah, so look, a PTA, it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's basically, that stands for predicted transmitting ability. I wouldn't read too much into it other than the higher the better in terms of a certain trait. So in terms of PTAs for protein, it gives, if you have a high PTA for protein, it's basically that bull's ability to pass on high percentage protein to its sons and daughters. So PTAs is predicted transmitting abilities. So I've looked at it here for the PTAs for protein. If you use a bull team, so an Aurivo average supplier, I just want to see where would your milk protein be in a decade's time based on what team of bulls you use. So on the bottom of your screen, you see little blue diamonds. That's the average of the stock bulls that are used on farms across Aurivo at the minute. I know you might think that there are no stock bulls, but actually in reality, 13% of the calf crop in 2021 in Aurivo herds were off stock bulls. So one of the main things I would say here is that the average PTAs for protein of them are very poor. And it's signified there with a red X on the bottom of your screen. If you use stock bulls with the average PTAs for protein that are out there, you're not going to improve your protein at all in the next 10 years. However, if you look at the AI sires used in the last couple of years, it's signified there by a green and yellow smiley face. That the PTAs of them stock bulls on average for the teams were 0.15. So basically, an Aurivo average herd will be go from 355 protein last year up to 375 protein by 2030 or 2031 or 2. And similarly, if you increase your target there up to 0.2, you've the option to get to 385 protein by 2020, by a decade's time. So we need to use high PTAs for protein, and we need to not use dairy stock bulls anymore. This should be a thing of the past.
That's excellent, John. So I suppose looking at this information that we have here in this chart you have completed, I'd love to increase my protein in my herd, and I'd like to increase it going forward and make that profitability per cow. So I suppose the next question is what are the targets for the bulls for 2023?
Okay, so very simply, the targets for the team should be 280 EBI, as you can see on the screen in front of you. There should be 130 for fertility, with no bull below 90 euro for fertility. The team should be at least 90 euro for milk, with no bull below 60 euro. In terms of health, they should be 5 euro on average, with no bull below a negative figure for health, and that's becoming extremely important now as we move forward with cell counts, lameness, and there's new insight in the health sub-index is TB, and yeah, so TB is a big one too. Carbon, we need to pick positive bulls for carbon, and you're kind of looking for a maintenance figure of in between 10 and 20 euro. So that's it, basically 280 euro EBI, Majella, no bull below 220, highly fertile, positive for health. They're the main overarching targets that we have for dairy AI bulls, and obviously to include in that what we've talked about before in terms of the milk price. 0.2 on average is a new is for protein PTAs is the new target.
Excellent, John. So I suppose my next question will be going forward is I'd love to improve on my protein, make the profitability, pick the higher EBI bulls, but how do I decide what bull goes on what cow? Or if I'm out in a dairy farm now tomorrow morning, where do I start or how do I go about it?
Okay, well, first things first, where you start is you sign up to Herdplus, to ICBF's Herdplus subscription service. So if I told you that nearly 1 in 2 farmers don't pay for the subscription service to Herdplus, would you be surprised? Well, I was surprised when I heard that statistic. So I suppose ICBF Sire Advice is a great tool to use, but you won't be able to use it unless you pay for Herdplus. Herdplus is about 100 euro per herd. For the online service, and 160 euro for the postal and online service, plus 50 cents per cow calved. So it's small money, really. 70 or 80 cows, you're talking about 200 euro. It'll pay dividends to have all the whole raft of information that you get from ICBF's Herdplus. So that's the first place to start, Majella. And then inside in that, then you on your ICBF homepage, you can click on Dairy Sire Advice. So Dairy Sire Advice is a tool to match up the bulls that you select with the cows that you're going to breed your replacements from. And very simply put, what it does is it minimizes or avoids inbreeding to start off with. It matches up cows that maybe have low milk with bulls that have high milk. Or similarly, if there's a bull with very high fertility, it should be put on a cow that has low fertility. And the computer program does most of this for us. At the end of the day, then you get a printout with the matings. But before that, to answer your question, you can find bulls on the Dairy Sire Advice based on what traits you want. So if you want to really improve your protein or really improve your health, you can select heavily for that within Sire Advice. The other thing you can do is select cows for putting to beef, or cows for putting to sex semen. So on what you get at the end is a tailored plan that you can see in front of you. This is the printout from it. You can get a breeding chart sent out from ICBF on a kind of card. And it's also sent to your AI technician's handheld. So on the day of AI, it brings up what bull is meant to be put on the cow that's in the crush. you can see on your screens there now a circle around bull number 1. In this case is F48658 for cow number 914. So basically, that's if you can try to follow your bull choice number 1 insofar as is possible. That's one of the main points from Sire Advice, so that you don't overuse any one bull. The next thing you'll see on your screen here is there's a choice then for beef matings, and in this Sire Advice we've included a lot of beef matings on lower EBI cows and late calvers. So there's the choices. The beef matings within Sire Advice are done based on if a bull has a high calving difficulty, it'll be selected onto a cow that has an easy calving. All cows have their own figure for maternal calving difficulty. So basically, harder bull on easier cow, easier bull on harder calving cow for the beef matings. And then the last thing, which is a new thing with Sire Advice, is the sex semen option, which you can see there on your screen with the third circle is denoted as an S.
That's excellent. So this really is a tool that every farmer can use for, I suppose, a lower cost, but is really invaluable, John.
Ah, yeah, it's huge, and it just means that you can do this now over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and you have the printout, and you can just follow your plan then for the breeding season. And the aim from Sire Advice is to not overuse any one bull, and to minimize inbreeding, and then also to have an even crop of calves insofar as is possible.
That's excellent, John. So I suppose going forward then, the next thing that you're going to have a look at here is the Stockball Finder and how this works.
Yeah, look, so there are a large number of the beef cross calves off the dairy herd coming from stock bulls. So we've talked about the AI bulls here that you can see on the Sire Advice, but then what happens when the AI is finished and the bulls go in? Sometimes the quality, the beef merit of the stock bulls isn't great. So the place to go if you're looking for a stock bull is there's one place you can definitely that most people don't know about is the ICBF Stockball Finder. So just Google it. You land on this page and you select Dairy Beef Index. And then from there, you can select what breed you want, what counties you're looking for it in, and a number of other different things there. So in this example, I've selected Angus bulls in County Roscommon, and this comes up with a number of bulls that are available for sale in County Roscommon. So and I can then click on their calving indexes, or their calving traits, and you can see the PTA or this shows that this bull is going to be 6.4% of a calving difficulty in dairy heifers, whereas the bull on the right is 8.6. So if you're selecting out of them two, you'd pick the one on the left if you're buying a poly bull for the heifers. The other thing you can see is the beef sub-index here is 103 and 119. So both are very good in terms of their beef sub-index. And Majella, just maybe to move it on, so that's the Stockball Finder, but why would we use better beef merit, I suppose, is the question. And I suppose, look, very quickly, it's well documented that if you have good genetics for beef versus poor genetics for beef, that there's going to be a major difference in the carcass at the end of the day for the person that's rearing it. And that has resulted in about €120 from the Grange trials in terms of the carcass value at the end of the day. So for Frisian cows, we'd be aiming for €100 beef sub-index, and for Jersey cows, Jersey cross cows, you'd want a minimum of €120 beef sub-index in terms of the DBI beef sub-index of the bulls you're using. So very quick, that's just basically to try and improve the merit of it.
Okay, so I suppose really based on those two or I suppose the two tools that we can use, we need to be looking at both of those all the time while we're selecting and making decisions.
Ah, yeah, and look, if you think that it's a bit complicated, there's help there. There's help available from your local advisors, from the Farm Profitability Programme, from the Joint Programme. So you don't have to go it alone, I suppose, is the point there.
Yeah, exactly. We're all here to help, and I suppose that's what our job is. It's to make the farmers more profitable. And I suppose using these tools that we have now available to us, then we will make more profit on every end of the dairy system.
Yeah, and lastly, maybe just to note on the beef on the beef merit of our beef bulls being used, we can achieve a good quality product, but also protect our calving performance. So have them easy calving and short gestation. You can get what you want once you look at the DBI. So maybe just to summarize for the video then, Majella, I think we need to switch the breed of the stock bull from a dairy breed to a beef breed. There should be no real need for a dairy stock bull on farms at this stage, because I have seen the traits of all the stock bulls, sire and calves, and they're amongst the worst in the country. So we need to change the breed of the stock bull to a beef breed. Pay our Herdplus membership and use Sire Advice. Might sound simple to some, but it's a very important tool, as you've noted. Use a beef bull on cows below 150 euro EBI. Something that it's an extra layer that you can put into your Sire Advice, so that you're not breeding low EBI cows, and you can get a very fast genetic gain. Aim for 100 euro beef subindex on DBI if you're buying a bull or using beef AI. Obviously, increase that if you've poorer beef genetic merit cows. Your dairy bull team should average 0.2 for protein. Very important. Highly fertile cows do more milk days in milk, so select for high fertility in your sires. And lastly, don't overuse any one bull. A max of 15% serves to any one bull.
That's fantastic, John. And I suppose all of these tools can now be used afterwards to help farmers to make the best decisions to be as profitable as possible. You can contact either myself or John if there's any queries or questions. And we thank everyone for watching our video.
Best of luck with the breeding season ahead.
Thank you.